will never have as robust a tax base as other cities. In these difficult economic times, how do you plan on gathering the necessary funds to implement the programs you see as being essential to helping New Haven residents? Mr. Fernandez?
It's a great question, and here's a couple of thoughts on it. As somebody who's done quite a bit of economic development here, the first is we really do need to grow the number of tax-paying properties in the city, and we're going to do that, I think, particularly by growing the jobs and the properties between downtown and the medical complex. We have a real opportunity for growth there, tax-paying growth. But I also think we need to understand taxes a little bit differently than we do now. There are neighborhoods here, like East Rock, that are suddenly are paying much higher taxes as a result of revaluation. Whereas other communities, like mine in Fairhaven or in New Hallville, property taxes have actually gone down. But the reason our property taxes went down is that our property values collapsed. If we want to have taxes go down in places like East Rock, we need to improve schools and we need to reduce crime in neighborhoods like New Hallville, Dixwell, Fairhaven, and the Hill. That will have our property values go up. It'll mean that we don't have, in these neighborhoods, mortgages that are underwater, and we'll have the resources to pay for the important activities that the city government needs to engage in.
Representative Holder-Winfield?
Yeah, so how do you gather the funds? I think, again, by growing the city, growing the people and businesses that are on the land that are taxable. It's one of the reasons why I would focus on bringing businesses to the city, but it's also why I would focus on small businesses, which don't always stay small businesses, and making sure that they're able to grow. There are people in the city who have been struggling for years to build their businesses. I think the city can help them. I think we can make it easier for them. I think I've talked to people at the Chamber of Commerce. So, one of the things they've said to me is one of the problems we have with helping the city is that we don't feel that the city is a place where we're welcome. That's insane, actually. The city of New Haven wants those businesses to be here. We want them to grow. We need to figure out why growth isn't happening, and some of the things we can do is simply by stepping back and encouraging the growth. But really, again, I think Henry had a point. Listen, we talked about crime in some neighborhoods. Crime in any neighborhood is a problem for every neighborhood. We've got to start thinking about the city as one city where the issues may not be in your neighborhood, but they affect your neighborhood. And that's important.
Alderman Ellison?
So our city's facing a crisis, and our budget problems are going to only get worse. Now, what do we do to confront that challenge? Number one, we're going to have to make some hard decisions in the short term because our taxes compared to the surrounding community are so high that we're either driving people on fixed incomes out of our community or not welcoming those folks that might come to our community. In the long term, we need to focus on a long-term fiscally responsible policy for the city. I support things like participatory budgeting, which I could talk to you about afterwards, but that's a way of budgeting within our means by giving residents more say in budgeting. I think that we can identify more efficiencies in government. The windows of Wilbur Cross High School were open all winter long, and imagine how much money you waste in your own home if your windows were open all winter long. So there's a lot of efficiencies that we can identify in government. Ultimately, we as a city need to grow, and this is a trend that you're hearing from other people on the panel. Why do we need to grow, and why are we in a special place to grow? Well, I said it in my opening remarks. This city, New Haven, because of our geography, because of our history, because of our culture, because of the entertainment, because of all the things that we offer the urban environments and all these things that people are looking for around the nation, but a kinder, gentler, more humane New York or Boston. We need to capture that trend that's going on around the nation for people moving back to cities. We need to invest in a sense of place, create more bikeable, walkable neighborhoods, and communities that people want to live in. We can build our tax base, create jobs, and that tax base can help fund a lot of the programs that support the great policies and people around the city.
Mr. Nemerson?
So Gary, I like that line about the Chamber of Commerce. I've got a solution for it, actually. So, look, we need to increase the value of everybody's property. Henry's right. I see a lot of people from East Rock here. The reality is it's going to be very hard to lower taxes. But the real question is, how do we increase value? Our taxes aren't that much higher than they are outside of Boston or outside of New York in some cases, but in fact our property values are way too low. And for other people, they deserve to have the knowledge that there's going to be an investment in their neighborhood. So they know that the neighborhood values will go up. Look, we championed something called Pilot the last time we had a crisis back in the early 70s. You able to help lead that? And there's a person in the audience who I think actually wrote that legislation, Mr. Baldwin, judge. And the fact is we have to support making sure that we have formulas that give the state the opportunity to make New Haven successful. What everybody said is absolutely true. We are one of the great hopes of this state to actually be an internationally successful place that can attract investment and attract jobs. So we have to save the city. The state is going to have to fully fund Pilot, and we're going to have to do whatever we can to make sure that the neighborhoods know that the investment that we're making will increase the value. That's a market-based thing. We can't wave a magic wand. The market says we think property values will go up, and they do. They need to see the future of New Haven secure enough that people are going to move in here and pay more for each house, pay more to live in rent than they did today. And we have to figure out how to make that happen.